member yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Palmer for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to direct some questions to Mr. Allen. D.C.'s experienced an unprecedented surge in crime. We're now 3 months into the year. So far this year, juveniles have accounted for over half of the carjacking arrests. Given this, how can you justify passing legislation to allow 25-year-olds to be tried as minors?
I'm sorry, legislation to have 25-year-olds tried as minors?
As I understand it, that's what you supported, and that's your position. So you say that's not your position?
No, sir. That's not the law in the District of
Well,
Columbia.
during a November 2021 roundtable, you led witnesses testified that they experienced workplace retaliation after reporting their concerns over both the D.C. jails, central detention, and the treatment facilities to Mayor Browser's administration. I just want to know what you or your other council members have done to hold the mayor's office accountable to address these concerns.
Related to the Department of Corrections, you said?
The whistleblower experienced workplace retaliation as a result of bringing this to the attention of the mayor's office and to the council. Have
Yes,
you
sir.
responded to that?
Yes, sir. I believe you're referring to staff individuals with the Department of Corrections, the Central Detention Facility and Central Treatment Facility. So under my leadership previously of chairing the committee, we held numerous oversight hearings of the mayor and of the Department of Corrections. That then led to legislation that increases accountability and reporting with the Department of Corrections. One of the things we found was that we have a dearth of ability to get into the Department of Corrections, and we also have what's called the Corrections Information Council, which is an independent entity to be able to conduct oversight. They were being prohibited from doing their job as well. So we changed the laws to be able to open up that access and requirements as well, so that we have not just the council be able to have improved oversight, but independent entities that can go in to do their independent oversight.
You know, you were one of the champions of the RCCA, and as from what I understand, carjackings have gone up 118% in the city since then, and over 56% among juveniles. And I think there's a message out there that you can get away with crime. Also, this emergency police reform that you guys pushed through, I think, Mr. Pemberton, you've had 600, in the range 600 police officers that have left the force. How has that impacted your ability to keep the city safe?
Yeah, that's correct. I think the chief of police testified last month in an oversight hearing that we were short over 500 police officers, and which measures up with our numbers. I think the total staffing of the police department right now is about 3,400.
But that's a huge problem for recruiting and retraining officers, isn't it?
It's impossible, and as I've stated in my testimony, we're running a deficit every month. We're losing 15, 20, 25 officers per month, and we just can't keep up with the crime. We can't keep up with the demand. The response times are going up. We don't have enough detectives to investigate these cases.
Washington, D.C. is experiencing some of the same issues that other cities are experiencing. And it's interesting to note that one of my colleagues talks about the number of children dying from firearms and didn't mention the number of children dying from drug overdoses, particularly fentanyl poisoning. We had a record number, unprecedented increase in adolescent drug overdoses over the last couple of years, largely because this stuff's coming across our southern border, and my colleagues across the aisle have zero concern about it. They do nothing to secure the border. You've got an unprecedented number of increase in murders in Democrat-run cities. And I just wonder, in your experience in your law enforcement in dealing with gun crimes among adolescents, how many of those are related to drugs? A significant portion of them?
Many of the violent crimes that we encounter, especially street crimes involving guns, are usually some sort of street beef. It could emanate from some sort of argument, but it oftentimes emanates from drugs and drug trafficking.
And a lot of a significant number of homicides are not related to drugs, or not do not involve firearms. People are beaten to death and other means of murder, right?
I would say most of them are firearm related, but that's correct that there are non-firearm related homicides in the city every year, yes.
So it sounds to me like we've got a huge problem. And to your point, Mr. Middleton, about how great the theaters are in Washington, you've got crappy schools. you're not only, your schools not only dropout factories, they're inmate factories. And you can look at this anywhere you want to in the country. And a lot of these adolescents who are committing these crimes are kids who, if they graduated high school at all, and this is pretty consistent around the country, and you can shake your head and disagree with all you want to, Mr. Allen, it's just the fact. So, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
If I could just respond, Mr. Chairman. I don't agree that the DC public schools are inmate factories. I will say that our urban...
I'm not saying all of them are.
Sure.
I said you have some crappy schools. So you're telling me all of them are excellent?
No, I'm not saying all
Well,
of them
thank
are
you.
excellent, but I would not say that they are factories for crime.
Well, if you look at at who's in prison, and this
I
is,
look at what?
if you look at who's in prison, this
Yeah.
is consistent around the country, regardless of age or regardless of race or gender. Over 60% of them are high school dropouts. We have a problem in our schools.
So the council is very aggressively fighting with the chancellor to improve the stability and funding for our individual schools so that there's more dollars in the classroom so that we have better educational outcomes.
Okay.
That's
We're
what the
spending
council-
more money than we've ever spent in our
Gentlemen's
history
time's
on
expired.
education. It's not
Gentlemen's
helping.
time's
I yield.
expired.